Okay, so we're moving on. We're going to the client management area. There are two options, as you can see, add new and edit existing. We're going to delve into the add new since we're planning on adding a straight dummy client for now, just to see how it works. So when you click on that, you'll notice it brings up a new form. Now, as of this point, any of the asterisk fields are required. So you'll notice that the client code is currently required in this video. We're actually in the process of moving that. So you'll see that will be probably changed by the time you review this. But in the meantime, we were going to set up a client management. So what we're going to do is we're going to add the details into each one of these fields, just so you can see how it will work and what the functionality is of each one of these fields. So we're going to start here by the name of the company. I'm going to put in some dummy information, so bear with this. Okay, the client code. Now, I know that that there is some debate about what the client code should be. So talk to your administrator about how you should format your client code. Country, as you can see, is a drop down, and you can type, once you pick the drop down, you can type the first letter of any of the items in the country, and you'll notice it will appear. So I'm going to type in U for USA, and you'll notice it brings me right down to the U's, and I can select it a little bit easier. That usually is the same for all of the drop downs within the system. So you'll notice now that there's a field that I've come to called same as above. Now, same as above means if I leave this checked, then all of the address details that I've plugged in above here will be the same for my specific contact. You'll notice that if I uncheck it, it adds those same fields here for me to enter a different detail. Now, I can if I want to. I don't necessarily have to, so I'm just going to leave it checked. There are more fields for office phones, mobile phones, and faxes. This may change the number of them. As of right now, we have 4 for each. And you'll notice here, see this little button here, this bottom right of the contact area? The shaded gray area is the contact details. If I hit this button, it will add another block that I can use to add another contact. See that? So now the whole thing drops down and we have a secondary contact. You'll notice now that there's a minus sign, which means it will remove this secondary contact. But again, I can add as many as I want by keep clicking plus. So I can select the sales team. Now, you can add more sales teams to this list by just clicking edit sales team. So we'll do that in a second, but you'll notice once I select it, it appears in the drop down. When I clicked edit sales team, this refers when a lot of the drop downs that are in the system have the edit option. Now when you have the edit option, it allows, it's called a dynamic drop down, and what it does is it brings up a screen here where it will show you the details of what currently exists, where you can modify what's in the system, but you can also add to it. So if I add and say, okay, this is going to be Arlene is my sales team. Okay, so if I click add sales team, okay, it brings me back up into the system, but it shows me that it's selected in my new drop-down. So now they're always a part of this drop-down. This date picker allows you to choose which particular date that we first joined. I'm just going to say today. The payment terms is important because it's reflected on the purchase order. And the order confirmation, I'm sorry. These choices are all default, but you can also edit the payment terms and add more. Many of these fields that are in this area reflect the detail that appears on some of the forms during the order. So it's important to fill out as much as possible. Okay, now the visitation, travel history, general client notes, sample requirements, rebates, many of these areas currently in the Add New screen have just made one big text area for each one. Going forward, when we view and edit, which I'll go into in a minute, they have individual areas where you can see the past history of all of the notes that have been submitted and by what user. So I'll show you that in a minute. Okay, now that I've submitted the contact, the client, you'll see that there's a message here that says records inserted successfully. So the detail is now, they are now part of this system. You'll see here is the client, here's the client code, here's the sales team, and the option to delete the client if you need to. Now, when you go into the client management and edit existing, it brings you to this screen. So you can go into any one of these clients and view the details that have been submitted. Now, if I choose the client, okay, in this case I'm logging in, you'll notice that when I go in and edit the existing client and choose the client, okay, I will end up seeing the same details that I entered before, okay, but I can go ahead and see now these buttons appear here: visitation, travel history, add view, add view. Now you'll notice if I click add view, it shows me the previous history that may have been submitted here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to enter something so you can see how it would work. When I submit, you'll notice it adds a note here. So if I were to add another note, it adds the second note underneath. So you'll see the latest details appear as posted specifically by the user. Okay? That's all the client management, so we'll move on to supplier management.